Hey everybody, it's me, Shell360. No one's joined the chat yet, so I'm just gonna hang out for a little bit, just the camera. I am not feeling my best. I don't have a cold necessarily. I think I'm just kind of like winter ick. So excuse me if I look terrible, cause, huh? I can't see a thing. It does, but your part is a mess.
I'll fix it up.
Yeah, you're gonna have to redo it because it's uneven on both sides. Look at it in the mirror. It's uneven on both sides.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Stephanie's doing her hair, so I was trying to give her a little advice. Hey, Eugenia. Um, so this particular broadcast, live chat stream, is called Hallyu Dreams because Parasite won Best Picture, Best Foreign Film, Best Screenplay, and Best Director. No, we just started. And that is huge when it comes to Korean cinema. Hell, when it comes to foreign cinema, that is massive. So, I did a tweet that I put on my Twitter. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, you may have seen this tweet. I don't know. It depends on how closely you follow me, honestly, because there's a lot of tweets that people send out there that I follow that I don't pay attention to. But the tweet that I wrote was, "Congrats to all of us who were on the Hallyu wave for longer than 5 years. We stood in the trenches hoping to see the art taken seriously on an international scale. Tonight, Parasite is realizing the dream at the Oscars. Now we need that Grammy." And I wanted to talk about that tweet because um, I feel like I need to explain why I said more than 5 years, number one. But number two, I wanted to talk about some of the other tweets that were related to Parasite's win at the Oscars and the Hallyu wave in general. And I want to talk about them because, it's just like everything else when it comes to the K pop community. We can't have nice things. There always has to be somebody slick talking in the background. So that is the reason why I wanted to talk about this. So I put specifically more than 5 years. And I put that specifically because I feel like if you've been a fan for more than 5 years, you were a fan around the time that Gangnam Style got really popular. And Korean movies have always had a place when it came to the general film scene, like movies like Old Boy and some of the other Korean produced horror movies have always had a place when it came to people who are big film buffs. Um, but the Hallyu wave really started with like Rain and Full House and some of the K drama stuff that was out there. And Rain got really popular and started to get the trickle of acts coming to America. So it was Seven and Boa and Wonder Girls and Girls' Generation who all tried to make it here. And being a part of the Hallyu Wave, if you were a part of the Hallyu Wave for over 5 years, then you were probably around during the Gangnam Style blow up. And that was a really complicated time for people who loved K-pop. I was fairly new to K-pop when Gangnam Style came out, and I remember Gangnam Style being massive in Korea because at the time I was following Simon and Martina, and I was really paying attention to a lot of K-pop YouTube, and I remember watching I think it was either Music Core or some one of the music shows. Psy was going to perform Gangnam Style, but instead of performing Gangnam Style on the stage in the studio, they had him on top of a building while the entire block was covered in people. And this was before the US really latched on to that video. And I remember thinking then, this song is going to get a lot of attention because this is not normal for Korea, for Koreans to be out here like this. Like, I'm not seeing this with anything else. And sure enough, it transcends just American stuff and it becomes a worldwide phenomenon. At one point, it was the most viewed video on YouTube on the entire platform. And there hasn't been another K pop video since that has ever reached its height. Like, you can look at it, there's not a one. So when you think about that and you think about how massive it was, you would think that that would mean, with it being the most viewed video, you would think that that would mean that all of a sudden the world is going to take K-pop seriously. The problem was is that when people looked at Gangnam Style, they were like, "Oh, this funny fat man dancing, ha ha ha." And they looked at it completely surface. Nobody looked at any of the social commentary. No one looked at anything other than, oh, it's this fast, oh, this middle-aged fat man fast rapping and doing the horsey dance and stuff like that. And it was so hard. It was so hard as a fan of everything that K-pop is and everything that K-pop can bring, that all they knew was the horsey dance and Oppa Gangnam Style. And a lot of people couldn't even say Gangnam right. And so for a lot of us who had been fans, we spent a long time hoping that something else would come out of Korea that would not necessarily erase Gangnam Style, because, give credit where credit is due. Psy found a magical moment and he made it happen. And it's enabled him to become a record label owner. He would never have P Nation if he didn't have the fame and the notoriety from being the Gangnam Style guy, because Psy was massive in Korea already, but this made him like a cultural touchstone. It made him somebody that people like, yeah, that guy should own a label. So, yeah, I think that definitely, Gangnam Style did big things for him on a personal level. It enabled him to help other artists. So Gangnam Style definitely had its good points, but it did make it seem kind of like Korean pop music was a joke. And then after that, you had, Pineapple Apple Pen from Japan and these kind of things that seem more kitschy rather than actual legitimate musical output, actual legitimate, like, to be taken seriously cultural output. So a lot of us who have been fans for a while were like, okay, we've seen something that we admire be looked at by the world as a joke. Now we need you to re-look at it and take it seriously, because we take it seriously. Those of us who watch K-dramas take our shows seriously. Those of us who watch variety shows take it seriously. Those of us who watch the movies take it seriously. So we were just waiting for that opportunity to come. And then comes along BTS. And I'm going to mention them here because, you know what? I'm not a hater, and I have to give credit where credit is due. BTS did something that K-pop had never done before, and that really people had only seen in like United States and Europe. They built a fan base on social interaction. They knew that their label, even though their label head had close ties with Pledis and Source and JYP and all these other industry insiders, their CEO said the wave of the future is social media. If you can get a following on social media and you can get people to interact with you there and feel like they know you because they've been following your story this whole time, that's where you're going to build the world's most loyal fan base. And that's exactly what BTS and Big Hit have done. I've been really racking my brain over why it is that TXT, even though they're doing okay, have not done as well as BTS. And I've been trying to figure it out. I'm like, why is it that none of these other K-pop groups are hitting the same kind of marks that BTS is hitting? And I mean this from a purely intellectual standpoint, not about like fashion and style of music. And it has everything to do with the fact that BTS fans feel like they built BTS from infancy to today. There are fans of BTS that have been there since No More Dream era. There are people like myself who got to know BTS before Dark and Wild. And when it was a grassroots movement, when it was fans reaching out to fans from other fandoms saying, hey, give this group a listen, hey, give this song a try, they really do feel a sense of ownership, because while they're doing all that work, BTS are doing these live streams before V Live was a big deal. but they're doing like YouTube videos, Bangtan TV, where they're talking to fans and they're letting them in on the process, and they're telling them about how their day went and how practice is going and what they're working on, and they're showing their personality in a way that we just didn't have exposure to. Yes, I will be leaving this up. We didn't have exposure to prior to then. So many K-pop acts, and I think one of the reasons why it was looked at as so manufactured and not to be taken seriously, so many K-pop acts, you got the information about them through Variety, you got it through music videos, you got it through whatever the company released. A lot of us who have been tracking BTS for a while, we realize that we got a lot of unfiltered, unedited content from BTS. Stuff that was not curated specially for us. Like, they may have discussed what they were going to talk about ahead of time, but it really was like a glimpse into what it took for them to be who they are. And because of that, so many people are invested in their story. So many people have seen them in their super crowded studio, have seen them with their messy dorm room when they had the condoms in the background, and have seen like the trajectory of their growth, have seen them move from a shitty dorm to a decent dorm to a nice dorm to a beautiful studio and great hotel rooms and all these other things that we never thought we would get for them. And watching it in real time, it makes it feel like you did that. And so because of that, I think number one, it made it to where the people that were fans of BTS couldn't look at them a lot of the time as one of these manufactured K-pop groups that everybody else is, because they've watched the hard work, they've watched the behind the scenes, they've gotten to know these people through their insecurities and everything else. Like, I knew about Suga's depression, I knew about so many things for so many members of that group before it was ever even discussed in song, because these were things that they talked about in their live streams and everything else. And one of the reasons why fandoms in the West are as kind of crazy as they are is because we do feel like the personality of the entertainer is very deeply enmeshed with their art. And BTS gave you that, which was, again, something you just weren't used to with K-pop. So, like, if you're a fan of Lizzo, you know what Lizzo's political standpoints are. You know if she's a feminist. You know what her favorite food is. You know about, how much practice she's doing for her next performance. You know a lot about her. If you're a fan of Halsey, for instance, you know a ton about her backstory. You know about her miscarriage on stage. You know about all these things. And with BTS early on, I think we all felt that way. Like, we knew these boys. We knew them. And so they gathered a fan group that felt like more than any other group that was out during that time, they felt like these were real people. And they were somebody they needed to root for, because they were carrying their dreams on their back, and they were carrying our hopes for their dreams on their back. Now doing V Lives is second nature. Doing unscripted conversations with fans is second nature. Having your own SNSD profiles is totally what you're going to do. SNSD profiles, I'm sorry, SMS, social media, sorry. Having your own profiles on social media is a thing that everybody does. But like I said, at the time, it was just very different and it felt very organic for K-pop. And because of that, those people who came up with BTS became warriors for BTS. They literally became an army. If there was any contest that was a popularity contest that could be voted on, they voted for it. If there was any way that they could show their support, if there was any way they could try to spread the knowledge of this group to other people, they did it all the time. If you were a radio host who got a hold of BTS very early on when they were doing US promotions, chances are if you gave them a half decent interview, you got flowers sent to the radio station. You got people blowing up your Twitter saying what a great person you are and how much they support you. And that was all because people really wanted to see the underdogs win. And so once that fan campaign started to make it to where Western media outlets were like, okay, let's bring them on the show. The people who do have them on the show get great buzz and great following. And let's, bring them out to this awards show and let's do all these things. Once that ball started rolling for BTS, that really did bring a lot of other people behind them because we had Boa come to the United States, and Boa was great when she came to the United States. I'll Eat You Up is still a fantastic song. And, I think she did Pride while she was here, and she really worked as hard as she could. But we didn't know her. We didn't know her, and, there's not a big precedent for Asian stars in the West, to be quite honest with you, outside of a very narrow stereotype. And so it was cute, but people didn't take her seriously. Seven, he did a song with Little Kim. And it was him attempting to do kind of an urban sound, but YG didn't understand how cliche and passe Seven's debut was. And when he didn't do well, it was easy for YG to write it off as like, oh, Seven underperformed, rather than it being that you gave us material that is 5 years older than what's currently being listened to, and it's just not great. Sorry. And then SNSD, SM is like, okay, maybe Boa didn't work because it's just one girl. So let's send a team of girls to America. But you send them to perform on David Letterman, and the stage is super small for as many girls as they have. The girls, their English pronunciation isn't terrific for the ones who are not native speakers. And it just came across as sloppy and rushed. Then you have the Wonder Girls, which I have to say, out of every group that came to America prior to BTS, they really were the ones who went the farthest. And I don't think that anyone can say anything negative about that fact without seeming like a total douche, because the fact of the matter is there's a good chunk of people that got into K-pop specifically because of the Wonder Girls, because of them being on the Wendy Williams show, because of them being on Nickelodeon. But for a whole bunch of us secretly, we got into the Wonder Girls because they used to play them on the television screens in Justice. Real talk. That is actually how I got into the Wonder Girls. The very first time I saw the Wonder Girls, I saw them on the Wendy Williams show when they did their US debut, because I was following Wendy Williams from her radio career. Then I was in Justice birthday shopping for my daughter. At the time she was really little, and the Wonder Girls were playing on the Justice monitor. And every single time I went into Justice after that, I would always see the video that they did for Two Different Tiers that had Bobby Lee, who used to be on Mad TV, in the video. And that is how I really got into Wonder Girls, honestly, is like listening to them all the time. And they sold the singles at the Justice. And after that, it was like Jenna being on the front page of YouTube, back when the front page of YouTube used to actually mean something, when it would show you trends from all over the world rather than just what's trending in the United States. But I remember seeing Hannah's Bubble Pop. That was like the second K-pop thing I ever saw. I remember not that far after that seeing Miss A's Goodbye Baby, and that being huge. And those things got people in to K-pop. And then I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that Rain got cast in Speed Racer, which was directed by the Wachowski siblings, who produced the whole Matrix series. And then Rain did Ninja Assassin, and that brought a whole different notoriety and recognition to Korea, because Rain then won the Best Kiss Award at the MTV Movie Awards the year that Ninja Assassin was out. So, I mean, there were a lot of inroads to be made, but negatives our deficiencies with all these inroads were the reason why it couldn't go any further. You know, Boa, again, people just really didn't take her seriously as an artist. They saw her as a piece of pop fluff several years too late from the whole Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera era. Seven just didn't really have a good song. The Wonder Girls, as wonderful as they were, the problem was they didn't interview well, and everything they put out had to be highly produced before it could come out because not everybody was a native speaker. Rain, I love Rain, but outside of doing Ninja Assassin and doing Speed Racer and scripted content, he didn't interview well. His English was not great. Have you ever heard the English version of Love Song? I mean, come on, he wrote that. Intolerable. You know, so it was just really hard because not all the pieces were there. But then comes along BTS and all the pieces are there. The social media presence, RM being a fluent English speaker, you know, them actually producing music that is of the time that it's meant to be instead of it being something where it's 5 years too late. You know, like they just really hit a perfect storm for them to gain the recognition that they have. And, you know, it doesn't hurt that they're young boys. That is the other unspoken thing that a lot of people don't really talk about when they talk about why SNSD and the Wonder Girls didn't hit. You know, girls do okay, but the most rabid fan bases on earth are the teams of young women and young men who follow boy groups. You can just look through the history of music. If you don't want to take my word for it, look through the history of music. Elvis, teeny bopper girls. Jackson 5, teeny bopper girls. New Kids on the Block, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, One Direction, teeny bopper girls. When you have those audiences behind you, they will propel you far past what anybody else can do for you. And, you know, as shitty as it sounds, women don't tend to support women like that. And so a girl group is never going to have the impact in a lot of ways that a boy group has unless they're phenomenal. Like the girl groups that really make it are phenomenal. The Supremes, Destiny's Child, Fifth Harmony, Little Mix, Spice Girls. You have to be phenomenal as a girl group to make it. But you could be a 98 Degrees boy band and still do well. We're talking about the West here. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Wonder Girls, SNSD, girl groups. Boa, single female. Rain, English language barriers. BTS had none of those points against them. And so they came into the game and they did really amazing. And because of that, it made it to where people like BuzzFeed want to have Eric Nam read thirst tweets, and they want to have Monsta X play with puppies, and they want Super M to come and hang out, and they want to interview Taemin when he does solo stuff, and they want more content. But if you notice, if you're paying attention, they're grabbing up boys. They are specifically grabbing up boys. You know, well, it's not even just the boy band stigma. It is the stigma that the things that girls like aren't to be taken seriously because girls aren't to be taken seriously. Boys like video games, and you can grow up to become a professional gamer. Boys like sports. You can grow up to play professional sports. But the things that girls like, we're expected to cross some magic barrier when we turn 18 and all of a sudden get into women things and become more serious. And all of a sudden our interests are supposed to change. And we're silly if we still like boy bands after a certain age. And so it's boys that they're bringing over and they're doing stuff with. Now I've seen, I think I saw FBE do something with Momoland. I'm pretty sure I saw FB do something with Momoland. I've seen Tiffany do a lot of stuff, but Tiffany's not promoting as a K-pop act. She's promoting as a Western artist because she is an American, and that makes sense. So she's not promoting in the same capacity of K-pop artists trying to make it in America. I have seen Mamamoo do a little stuff, but not really that much. But like even when Red Velvet came for their tour, I didn't see BuzzFeed and those other people reaching out to Red Velvet. And I don't know if that's SM not doing their part in promoting Red Velvet, but I really did not see a lot of stuff for them when they came through. But I mean, even ATEEZ, as young a group as ATEEZ is, they were on FBE. Like, I'm telling you, it's just, they know what gets the clicks, and the boys get the fans. And so, it is what it is. But I say all that to say, when BTS struck, they struck in a big way. In a lot of ways, they filled the void that a One Direction or, some of these other large teen girl followings had. Because as One Direction kind of parted ways and everybody went and did the things that they wanted to do, and you were Team Zayn or Team Harry or team the other three, people are going here, there, and everywhere. But a lot of the time, it was just like, okay, I want to stand a group. I don't want to stand one person because there's a lot of one persons out there. I want to stand a group. And BTS came through with the thing that we like. There's, the tall one and the cute one and the short one and the all these different ones. And you could have a friendship group if you're a girl in high school or junior high, and you and five of your friends can like BTS, and you can all have a different bias. You're like, my bias is J-Hope because he's a dancer. My bias is RM because he's the intellectual one. My bias is Sugar because he's the emo one. Like, you could do that. You could do that. And people want to do that. We're creatures of social habit. We want to make friends, and we want to belong to something, and we want to have camaraderie, but we don't want to compete either. So we don't want to both have fantasies of marrying the same guy. We all want to have different guys that we have fantasies of marrying. That way we can still be friends, but still like the same thing, you know? So yeah, BTS came along a perfect storm, and they came with merchandise. That's the other thing. Like, they learned every lesson that K-pop groups that boy bands in the West had. Bring us posters, bring us dolls, bring us this, bring us that. The last time I saw a boy band doll was One Direction. Mattel did One Direction dolls. Like, they're hitting every note that people have hit over time.
To this day, I am a Zayn bias and a Zayn bias only.
I don't even listen to that group, so
Y'all
whatever.
sleep on Zayn Malik like it's no big deal.
Zayn Malik sleeps on himself.
His PR team does.
He sleeps on himself. That last album with the weird album cover with like the clouds and like,
that one wasn't great.
that was pretty terrible. Zayn Malik is extremely talented, but Zayn Malik needs to care more about himself, and he needs to see a therapist. Because he doesn't promote himself well. Everyone likes an album, but people love a tour. Not only that, but like, he works with the same people over and over again, and it makes it to where his albums sound like one long drone. He needs to work with more producers. He needs to have variety of sound. Like, when you listen to him, when he collaborates with other people who have different producers, he sounds light years better than he does on his own projects, because his own projects sound samey. Like that stupid TikTok song that everybody loves, I've been having dreams, that song. He sounds so good there, but then you listen to his project, like, I feel like I've heard this song before. So, just saying. Not saying, but just saying. And personally, I would love to see Zayn Malik sing some of the songs that Harry has been putting out recently. I feel like it's a vibe that he could share. But yeah. I think that he needs to see a therapist, and I think he needs to not record for like a year or two, and he needs to be seeing a therapist hardcore, and he needs to get over his stage fright or his stage anxiety, whatever it is that's got him to where he can't be out there like that, and find a way to make it happen for him, because eventually people are going to get tired of feeling like they're throwing money into a bottomless pit, because you put the money out there for him, you know, to buy his music or whatever else, and then he comes back with like, okay, I'll have another album out pretty soon, but you don't really get anything else from him because he doesn't interact like that. Even like I looked at his Twitter stream, his Twitter stream is dry. So I really feel like if he wants to continue to kind of eat off of the fans that have been with him for so long, I think he needs to give back in terms of like making an appearance, acting like they are there. I think he likes the fans. I don't think that he's intentionally trying to mistreat the fans, but his failure to interact in a meaningful way is going to start to drive people away. Whereas, I mean, Harry, he just seems like he enjoys being a star.
Yeah. I like Harry's solo stuff a lot.
Yeah. Even the stuff that I don't like from him, other people liked it, but he like goes on a promoting spree. And I think Zayn's people probably would promote him more, but he's like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to do that. And they're just like, okay, well, I guess we're not doing that then. It's hard to promote somebody who doesn't want to leave the house. Real talk. I'm sorry, you guys. Me and Stephanie just got into discussions for ourselves. Sorry about that. But anyway, back to the subject at hand, the main thing. BTS following all of the recommended models for success when it comes to Western domination. They're doing great. You're doing great, sweetie. But we live in a time and an age when people have really short memories, number one. Number two, people love to speak in extremes. And number three, people don't like to acknowledge how gray the world is. And these three things are the reason why this win for Parasite was fantastic and perfect and lovely, but some of the feedback afterwards was just flat out depressing. So BTS is doing really well. I mean, they've got a lot of fans. They're doing big appearances on television shows. Their concert tours are getting sold out. Like, they're really doing great. I'm very happy for them. Good job for you, friend. But because of how well BTS is doing in terms of like encouraging tourism, selling, you know, merchandise and getting people to want to buy other things related to K-pop and all this other stuff, a lot of BTS fans in a culture where you talk in extremes and the world is not gray and you have to speak in absolutes, they're just like, BTS paved the way. BTS paved the way. They are the alphas. Everybody else is just, you know, their sons. They're not even K-pop anymore because they're transcending that. All this kind of rhetoric. You know, I get it, young people. You do what you do. But as somebody who's been involved with Hallyu for more than 5 years, who saw the ones who really did try to make it, and every time they failed, in America or in Europe, they still managed to bring a couple thousand people into K-pop just by their presence alone. When I think about them, it feels shitty to say that they don't count. That's what I'm going to say. And I have to give credit to Sunmi and to Rain, because when they're asked about BTS, they are extremely kind about it. Sunmi has said BTS paved the way. Rain has said BTS has paved the way. But one thing you have to understand about Korea, and a lot of people who have not been interacting with Hallyu for very long don't get this. Sunmi and Rain saying BTS paved the way say that because they know that their entrees into America weren't super successful. And a lot of times in Korea, when you have a failure or if things aren't as successful as they should have been, it's almost encouraged to forget it ever happened. It's almost because people won't let you live it down. people won't let you live it down. So when people talk to Sunmi about how the Wonder Girls were in America first, how do you feel about BTS? Instead of acknowledging kind of the fact that the Wonder Girls poured a lot of effort and a lot of time and a lot of energy into trying to provide inroads for the rest of Korean pop, and it didn't work out. Instead, Sunmi's going to say, yeah, BTS paved the way. She's going to say that because she doesn't want to go back to revisiting what went wrong. Nobody wants to do that. Rain, same way. Rain lost years of his Korean life, like his Korean entertainment life, trying to do Western promotions and Chinese promotions. And so he himself is not going to be like, oh yeah, I totally did this for them, because he knows that the Korean public is going to come back like, what do you mean? Ninja Assassin was a flop. And, Speed Racer was a flop. They're gonna come back with all that stuff. And even if Sunmi wasn't in the Wonder Girls when they were in the US, the fact that she is a Wonder Girl is going to mean something. So you can't say she wasn't in the group, so it's not gonna reflect on her. The fact is that she wears that brand on her back. That is the straight up fact. She wears the brand on her back. Nobody would know a Sunmi without a Wonder Girls. Straight up. But yeah, I think about that a lot. Like, it's a way for Rain and for Sunmi, and I'm not saying that they're being disingenuous when they say it, but what they're really saying is that BTS paved the way for success in America. They weren't the first group to do well, to go to America. That's not what that means. What they're saying is they were the first ones who showed that K-pop, real K-pop, can work in America, whereas the other groups really couldn't do it for the reasons that I've already said before. So that is the reason why, like, they're gracious about it, but a lot of fans, because they don't know anything about, background, they don't know anything about cultural aspects, they don't know anything about, history of the art, they don't know anything about, fucking manners, to be honest with you. They're like, look, even though Rain was already in America, he's saying that BTS paved the way. Yes, but what do they mean by that? What do they mean by that? So that's the reason why I put it there. So, and this is where my point really is going to go. Or I'm getting there. It always takes me forever to get to my points. So during the press junket for Parasite, while they were going to different award shows, Golden Globe, Oscars, all this stuff, somebody asked Bong Joon-ho about popularity in the United States, and I think they might have mentioned BTS. And Bong Joon-ho said, BTS has far more cultural impact than I will ever have. And a lot of BTS fans hopped on that as saying, look, even Bong Joon-ho recognizes the greatness that BTS is and that he paved the way. That's not what that statement means at all. That is not what that statement means at all. And again, this is where nuance, cultural insight, just consideration would really behoove you. When Bong Joon-ho is saying BTS is going to have a much more impact than he'll ever have, there's two things going on here. One, Bong Joon-ho is recognizing that the film that he brought to the United States is an art film. It is a legitimate art film. It wasn't one of these films that was meant to be the summer blockbuster or anything like that. It was a film that he took a long time in crafting, that tells a very special and nuanced message, that takes a lot of understanding of metaphors and different constructs in order to appreciate to its full capacity. Whereas I can watch a BTS video and get it right away. I may not get into all the theory and backstory and stuff like that, but like, I can watch a DNA or an Idol and I'm like, this is colorful. I like the sound of this song. This is really great. I really like it a lot. So when you hear a BTS, it is immediately impactful because it's hitting way more ears and it's easy to digest. And it's young people. And the things you feed young people will grow in them and will grow with them. And that's what Bong Joon-ho is saying. Not that we talked personally, I wish we would. But yeah, BTS is going to make more of a cultural impact in terms of a lot more people, because when these children and young women and middle-aged women and older women like myself grow up, we're going to share that with our children. We're going to share that with our friends and with our neighbors. And we're going to start making decisions based on the fact that we've opened our eyes to a new culture. And it's going to make us look at the world very differently. And so, yes, BTS is making more of an impact. But did BTS do anything to create Parasite or to get Parasite seen in these major film avenues? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, Parasite got there because it is a fucking brilliant movie. If you haven't seen Parasite, please rent it. Please rent it. Please watch it. It is a fantastic movie. And I'm not saying that just as somebody who left the theater shaking, because I did. I'm saying that as somebody who appreciates a film where every frame counts, where no time was wasted, where nothing was extra, where everything mattered. That film was perfect. It was the kind of filmmaking that America really quit doing a long time ago, especially when it comes to big budgets. It is fantastic. And so Bong Joon-ho saying BTS is going to have more impact is because he knows fewer people are going to watch Parasite. And especially considering that you have to have subtitles in order to enjoy it, there are people who can't read their way out of a McDonald's menu. They need the pictures. So, of course, those people aren't going to be watching Parasite. I saw some rant that some incel did about the fact that Joker was the most important movie made for America last year, and it talks about this, that, and the other. And it was some guy who was like, yeah, the Joker talks about mental health and class struggles, and Parasite didn't do that. It's like, first of all, you acknowledge. Secondly, if you've seen this movie, you'd understand it deals with all the things you just said. Maybe not the mental health as much, but all of the things you just said are dealt with in Parasite. Learn to read. But I say all that to say that because Bong Joon-ho early in the press junkets made this statement about BTS being so much more impactful, a lot of BTS fans have laid claim to Parasite's win as being a win for BTS. And I have to say, I'm disappointed. Now, if BTS gets a Grammy, that is all for them. That is all for them. I will never say, you got a Grammy because Rain gave you a Grammy, or you got a Grammy because Psy gave you a Grammy. I would never say that. But Parasite didn't get an Oscar because of BTS's popularity. Parasite got an Oscar because it's a fucking brilliant movie. And if you can read the 8th grade, you should be able to appreciate it. If you can read your way past an 8th grade level, you should be able to watch this movie and do it. You should, if you have any kind of intellect at all and can do more than one thing at a time, then I think that you can love this movie. And I just, like I said, I think it's wrong to believe that, you know, BTS showing up at the Billboard Awards or doing big numbers on the chart has anything to do with Parasite being the success that it is. No matter how much money BTS feeds into the GDP for South Korea, no matter how much press BTS gets out here and how much South Korea might be on the tip of their tongues, the fact of the matter is, Parasite is a piece of art that stands by itself. And the only people who deserve credit for that are the people who brought that movie into. That is it. Nobody else. The actors, the crew, the writers, the directors, the producers, the sound editors, the cinematographers, the production design people, the costumers, the makeup folks, the actors, actresses, all those are the people who deserve credit for making Parasite what it is. It has fuck all to do with BTS. And I say that as somebody who has spent a lot of money with BTS. I spent hundreds of dollars with BTS. And still, Parasite deserved everything it got because Parasite was that movie. It was that movie. So for that reason, I wanted to have this long ass conversation because I'm not a hater. I will give credit where credit is due. I absolutely will. BTS did something that K-pop didn't do, and that is utilize the power of social media before anybody else knew to do any better. And through it, they have galvanized a populace to fall behind them and support them and help them achieve their dreams. But Parasite, every person who watched Parasite came away from that movie with an opinion about that movie based on that movie alone. People didn't go into that movie thinking, I'm a BTS fan, so I'm going to like Parasite. No. People went into that movie to watch it and then came out of it thinking, this movie was dark, or this movie was very insightful, or this movie was sad, or even some people who walked out of the movie and said, it wasn't everything everybody said it was. So that is the reason why I was upset and I wanted to vent because, there's very few spaces where I can vent. And it looks like, is it? I can't read. It's too far away, but the Oscars had very little diversity. The Oscars did have very little diversity. There weren't a lot of people of color that were nominated for things. This is not This Is Us by Jordan Peele was completely locked out, even though Lupita Nyong'o gave an amazing performance in that movie. Aquafina was left on the cutting room floor when it came to nominations. Women, there wasn't a lot for women. I'm glad that Hair Love won for a Best Short Film. I'm glad that we got to see Laura Dern get a long earned Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, but it's ironic, questionable that the movie that won Best Picture, Best Director, Best International Picture, and Best Screenplay didn't have a single nomination for the acting.
Yeah, how?
And I don't know of any movie that can be nominated for Best Picture that has a cast full of shitty acting. I just don't know it.
I think it's because they don't know the actor's person. I think it has to do with personality.
I think it has a lot to do with racism. I'll be straight up with you. I think that a lot of people looked at Parasite and they acknowledged what a great movie it was, but when they were looking at it, they were looking at it as, oh, this is an ensemble piece. And they didn't look at specific actors and say,
the dad should have won an Oscar.
Absolutely.
The guy who played Song Kang-ho, I think that's his name.
The father of the poor family.
He should have won.
He should have won an Oscar. His performance,
it was great,
ran the gamut. And I think a lot of people, I know I was one of the people that when the movie first started, I thought that the poor son was the main character. And it wasn't until they were coming down the stairs during the rainstorm that I realized that the father was the main character. And when you look at it, if you look at it as more than just an ensemble piece, if you look at all of the moving parts, that's when you realize that Parasite should have had at least 2 actors nominated. It should have been the father of the poor family, and it should have been Park Seo-dam. Absolutely should have been Park Seo-dam for Best Supporting Actress. Hands down, nothing else needs to be said. She should have got it. Because the Jessica song was brilliant. The Jessica song was brilliant. The way she played such a relatable person that it almost felt like she wasn't acting. Like, there was just the way I felt towards the end of the movie towards her and the feelings I had from watching the end of the movie with her.
We were heartbroken.
I mean, I was just like, I don't want to spoil things for everybody, but it's just like the ending felt so unfair. But at the same time, I'm not a fan of angst. I'm not a fan of sad endings in cinema. But it also felt like the ending that happened in that movie was the only ending that you could have. And even though the ending to me was a sad ending, they tried to end it with kind of a false happy ending. You have to watch the movie to get what I'm talking about. even though they gave you hope or gave you a best case scenario in the end, you still left the movie feeling like, but that ain't never gonna happen. Like, that's literally how you left the movie. Like, that ain't never gonna happen. And it just, the waves of emotion that come at you, the more you think about the movie, the waves of emotion that hit you, it's just, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. But yeah, there were a lot of nominations that could have been had. But the fact that there were no acting nominations is because the people who voted for the Oscars could acknowledge the brilliance of the film, but couldn't see the actors for the people that they are. There have been very few of the actors in Parasite in Western media. Almost every piece of media about Parasite has been solely focused on the director, his interpreter, who is a very talented woman, but still, his interpreter has been the focus of several pieces. Jessica's song has been talked about. But no one has really sat down and talked with the actors. I've not seen any Western media pieces to talk about the fact that the poor father from Parasite, and I'm saying this because I don't want to fuck up any names, that the poor father of Parasite has been a frequent collaborator of Bong Joon-ho for many, many years and has turned over several amazing performances in work directed by Bong Joon-ho. So that in and of itself could have been a piece. It could have been a whole story about the relationship between these two individuals and what it is about this man's acting that Bong Joon-ho feels is so compatible with the work that he's putting out there. How he's able to change character and everything that they do and how they understand each other and what their process is when they work with each other. Didn't see that happen. Didn't see that happen. The poor son, nobody talked to him about the fact that he's had to navigate careers in kind of two different lanes and his journey from being kind of a video guy to now being considered one of the top leading male actors in South Korea. You know, if you want to do it popular, you could talk to him about his friendship with V from BTS, fine, whatever. But he's got so much that he can offer. Ask him if he's thinking about doing a foray into Western media because he speaks fluent English. Like, there's so many things that they could have talked to the older women in the movie about how they felt about the way that they were portrayed. Like, there was a very specific reason why both of the older women in the poor families looked the way they did compared to the mother of the rich family. Even though they had children of similar, well, the one poor family had children of similar age to the rich family, still the mother was very fresh looking compared to the older women in the movie. And they could have talked about that. They could have talked about, you know, what it's like to be an older Korean actress trying to make it and recognition for that and talk about, you know, what's valued in a Korean actress. You know, when do you have to change from being the ingenue to playing the mom, to playing the grandma? You know, like there's so many conversations that could have been had with anybody. And all it took was a decent translator and some time. A couple of Google searches, just some time. And that didn't happen. Because again, it wasn't looked at as being a brilliant cast and great material and great people working on great material. Instead, it was, this is an ensemble piece which is wholly the idea and brainchild of one individual. It was the man story, basically.
No.
And it's a thing that happens throughout history over and over again, the man story. It's about one great man and not the legions of people that aid this one great man in his one great purpose.
Because, I mean, the main character of Parasite was the dad, but it was also the story about his family.
Yeah, everyone played their part. But, I mean, if we're talking about singular...
It wasn't Bong Joon-ho's life-telling.
Yeah, if we were going to talk about, like, just individuals who deserve special recognition for the parts that they played in that movie, there are at least two people that movie wouldn't work without their presence.
The mom, the rich mom.
I don't agree. I would say that the poor dad and Jessica.
Yeah.
Without those two people, I don't think this would work.
Yeah, maybe without the rich mom it would still work.
I think you could have swapped a different rich mom. I really
Yeah.
think you could have.
But
Same thing with
that
the rich
sister-
daughter, the rich son, even the poor husband who was trapped in the basement.
Yeah.
You could have gotten a different actor for him. But I think that the poor wife from the basement, she was irreplaceable. I think that the mom from the poor family, she was very special. The son, obviously, super special. Of course. So I guess maybe 3 people. But the father and Jessica, like for me, that movie hinged on them in so many ways. And even the rich dad, I have to say, he played his part because he gave you something that you didn't see as clearly with the rich mom. With the rich mom,
It was
anytime
a lot
it's
more gossipy.
I wouldn't say gossipy, but anytime she was like mean spirited, which was very rare, it was kind of still glossed over. Like, she's so pretty, she's not really being mean, she's just classist because she's shallow. Whereas the father, he very much drew the class lines.
Yeah.
Of course, that is another layer to this movie that we need to talk about.
Nose.
Yeah, well, it's another layer to this movie that when we first hear about the rich mother, we're told who she is by a character who has observed her. And we continue to see her through that character's lens. The college friend of the poor son is like, he's like, oh, she's naive.
Mm-hmm.
So when she does things that are wrong or are mean or might be construed as evil, we don't see it as that because we're like, oh, she's stupid. So she's not being evil, she's just stupid. Which that in and of itself is a bias that we hold against her. Whereas her husband, when he's telling the poor father, stay in your place, we're like, oh, well, he's just being mean. He's just being mean. But we don't hold that same kind of animosity and that same kind of credit for beliefs to the mom. And I think that says something about us, that we're more willing to shape our view of a woman based on what a man has told us than the evidence that a woman has given us. Whereas we judge a man based on what he shows us. I'm not going to take your word for what that man is, but I'll take his word for what you are.
Look at you.
I'm just saying, it's just very interesting. It's very interesting. There's just so many layers in this fucking movie.
If you have not watched it, go watch it. And do not go into it thinking that it's any sort of genre. Because if you try to put it in horror, doesn't work. Comedy doesn't work. Drama doesn't really work. Just go into it.
Yeah,
just watch.
I cannot think of what genre that movie is. Like,
it's everything.
It's obviously not a rom-com.
They called it a dark comedy thriller on Google.
And that's like 3 different genres. And I don't feel like any of them are really... Thriller I get because there are thrills.
There are thrills.
Dark I get because it is dark. Yeah. Comedy, there are some like comedic moments. Yeah. But I don't know, man.
It can't be put in one singular box. You just have to watch it because it's just art.
I wish that there was a category called like dark slice of life magic.
Dark slice of life magic.
That's what if I was going to come up with a genre for this movie, it would be dark slice of life magic. Because it's slice of life in many ways. Because it's situations that people really do deal with. But it's the dark slice of life, you know. It's not the pretty, happy slice of life that people are used to. And magic because there are mystical elements to it that definitely are not typical. That definitely are not your everyday. So I guess maybe mystical, dark slice of life. Mystical, dark slice of life. That would be kind of what I'd go with. Yeah. But yeah, that movie is...
all the awards.
I haven't seen nothing in America that's similar to that.
It's my best 2019. It's my best 2018. It's my best 2017. It's probably my best 2010.
It was my best 2019, even though we both out.
That was more of like it was Oh, it was powerful like Parasite, but it was powerful and like, ooh, this is good, but it's also very fun and like more light spirited.
Yeah, like I was able to leave Knives Out in the theater. I couldn't leave Parasite in the theater.
Yeah. Mom was shaken for about 5-10 minutes.
I have been thinking about Parasite ever since I've seen it. Like, and I spent a good week thinking of nothing else but Parasite. Like, that movie really, it did something special to me. But like, Knives Out was fun, and I definitely encourage everybody to watch it. But it wasn't one of those ones that like shook me when I left and made me reconsider everything I saw in the theater and think about my interactions with people and reevaluate why I feel the way I feel about things. Parasite actually did that for me. Whereas Knives Out, it was like, I grew up liking Matlock.
It's like, that was a good movie.
I like Murder, She Wrote. Yeah. I mean, really, it was like, if you grew up watching Clue, Matlock, Murder, She Wrote, Perry Mason, Diagnosis, Murder.
I just found out, like, last month that Perry Mason's eyes are blue.
I think it's because he's so serious face. You're like, I don't know what
also
color your eyes are because you're frowning at me. But yeah, like, if you grew up with murder mysteries, hell, if you grew up with Scooby-Doo, Knives Out is the movie for you, because it really is like, it is one of those movies where it's like, and I would have gotten away with it if it hadn't been for you meddling children. Like, that literally is that is what it is. It's not Scooby-Doo like beat for beat, but it is very much kind of like a Scooby-Doo type of deal.
It was just a load of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Same.
Yeah. I
definitely remember a bunch of scenes from that movie to this day.
Oh yeah. Like, the fact that they didn't win for best production design is
I've never watched 1917. I don't think me or Mom have watched 1917.
I have not watched 1917 because I don't really like war movies. However, for 1917, when I was watching Minho's movie, The Battle of Jong City, and it looks terrifying and brilliant. So the trailer is literally a man running. Like, the whole trailer is a man running, but he is running through multiple war zones. And
trenches, explosions,
all fires. He is just running, and it very much reminds me of the way I felt from the trailer for Run Lola Run. So I would like to see it for sure. I just haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I would recommend it if you like war movies, which was another criticism a lot of people had about the fact that Parasite won. One, people were saying, how could it win Best Foreign Film and win Best Picture? But the reason why it won Best Foreign Film is because it is majority Korean.
Yeah.
So it was qualified for Best Foreign Film for that very reason. The reason why I was able to win Best Film in America is because it was
just that good.
Well, that, and it had a wide American distribution. Mm-hmm. That is another thing.
Played in a lot of theaters in America.
Because, like, Marriage Story was nominated for an Oscar, but that was a Netflix movie. Yeah. However, it was shown in theaters. It wasn't a lot of theaters, but it was shown in theaters, which qualified it for the Oscar. And that's the reason why it won. And there have been foreign films that have won the Best Picture award before.
Even though that scene from Marriage Story we watched was laughable. I can't believe I have to know you forever.
I wish you had died. I wish you were dead so that I could tell people you were dead and I could just bury you and never have to think about you again. Gosh, why won't you just die?
I can't believe how selfish you are. You're so selfish you don't even know what selfishness is anymore.
Ow, women wanted to sleep with me, but I'm stuck with you. I never wanted to be married to you.
I'm mad that you slept with her.
You should be mad that we laughed. What a piece of shit.
You should be mad that I had a laugh with her.
What kind? Fuck you. Fuck you. Seriously. It was just so bad. It was so bad.
And everybody's like, wow, this was so moving. This is what my divorce was like.
It was such bullshit. It was such bullshit. Like Stephanie was watching the scene, and I just happened to be. So we have a living room table, and she sits on one side, I sit on the other, and we live our lives. And she was sitting on one side watching it, and I was sitting on the other side listening, and I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me!" And I'm like, "Did a white man write this?"
Yes.
Because I was just like, "What?" A foreign language film has never won Best Picture until yesterday, but many foreign language films have been nominated for other awards outside of the foreign film category. So it's not about the language in order to be nominated for Best Picture. There's no caveat on Best Picture that says it has to be in English. It has to have a wide U.S. distribution. If it's distributed in America, it can be eligible for Best Picture. So, I mean, that's what it is. But yeah, it was just, first of all, I have to acknowledge, I have never been, nor will I ever be a white woman, because that is just not the circumstances in which I was born. But as I was watching this movie, as I was listening to Stephanie listen to this scene, and I was hearing the responses from the wife to the bullshit that her husband was feeding her, I remember thinking to myself, this is where the fight breaks out.
Yeah, because I mean, the only part was I'm like, yeah, you tell him. And when she's like, you are so selfish. You don't even see your own selfishness.
Which, what does that fucking mean? She really ought to be telling him, and I fucked your best friend. I fucked him so hard. He has twice the cock that you do. And yes, I did say that with my daughter sitting next to me. I would have come up with anything else to say. I'm just saying, if I was I've never been in an argument with a significant other where they told me they wished that I was dead. That is not something that you say to other human beings who you've ever cared about. If you've ever cared about a person, the last thing you would say is, I wish that you would die. Especially somebody who
That's
have
something a teenager says.
Well, like, especially somebody
mom.
that you've had children with, like, to say something like that, you are the lowest form of human being. And you deserve to have your ass whooped. But definitely not in my house. Not in my house. There's a big difference between the things that you think and the things that you say. And we all have thoughts that are terrible. We've all had a passing thought in our mind, like, I just wish that bitch would die. We've all done that.
True.
But we don't say it because we realize there is a line of human decency that we don't cross. So for you to come out your mouth to tell somebody who you have children with, I just wish you'd die. I just want to bury you. I wish you'd get cancer or something so I could just fucking get rid. If you're having that conversation with somebody, they either need to, 1, be prepared to fight you, or 2, be prepared to run. Because that's the only 2 outcomes here. Either they're going to kill you and wear your skin, or they're about to subject you to the lowest behavior possible because they no longer give a fuck about you. They don't care about your feelings. They are letting you know up front, it's an inconvenience to me that you are still breathing.
Like, I didn't even want to get married.
It's like, fuck you, I didn't want to marry you either. I was beautiful. I'm fucking Scarlett Johansson. You don't think I could get any guy? Look at me! Titties for days! Look at this face! I could have anyone I wanted to. You think I want to settle for you? You're lanky. Your nose is big. You're a weirdo. Why would I ever want to settle down with you?
You basically just called Adam Driver ugly.
Am I lying?
You're gonna offend some Adam Driver
I might
fans.
offend some people, but let's be honest. Adam Driver has looked 45 years old for the last several years. And he's a young man. And he looks my age. He has got a face that will never age because it's too weird to age. I still think he's a phenomenal actor, and he's really great whenever he's on SNL, by the way. But yeah, he's funny looking. So for a funny looking guy like that to tell Scarlett Johansson about all the pussy he could have been swimming in if he hadn't married her.
Was hot stuff.
It is
I was in magazines.
Like, seriously. It's like, are you fucking kidding me right now? I know you do not have the nerve to look at me in the face and talk about how people wanted to fuck you. I barely want to fuck you. So, who are you talking to?
Yeah, that's one of his arguments. We weren't having sex in the last 2 years.
Look at you! You refuse to wear this paper sack I asked you to put on whenever we get into the bed.
Adam Driver didn't write the script. It was some other guy. Like
some other short man. Some other short man.
Well, yeah, he does kind of look Adam Driver lanky-ish.
Anyway, yeah, for real. You talk about how I don't want to sleep with you. Have you looked at you? You wouldn't want to sleep with you either.
Right.
You don't even have the decency to want to. You don't even have the decency to run a wash rag around your nuts when you come in from the end of the day, and then you want me to put my face down there? Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm just saying. Tips for young girls out there, by the way. If a guy ever asks you to perform services that bring your face close to his crotch and he doesn't have the decency to run into the bathroom real quick and clean that shit up, don't do it. Don't do it. That's like kissing somebody who hasn't brushed their teeth. Except for it's worse because their balls are too close to their ass, so there's probably fecal matter down there. Don't get it in your mouth.
Okay.
Don't get it in your nose.
Okay.
Have some self-respect.
Okay. A Marriage Story.
Crap. Boo! But good for Laura Dern. No, his nose is crooked. His nose is crooked. Like, something about his face just is not right.
For me, it's the pouty lips.
To me, it's the nose. It's straight up and down the nose.
Because I've seen
it's the nose, and his chin is kind of wrinkly.
A little bit, but I think it's like mostly.
Yeah, it's kind of wrinkly, and I don't
like.
But he's hilarious on SNL.
Yes,
he's super funny. Everything he does on SNL is hilarious, but he's funny looking. And I dare somebody funny looking like him to tell Scarlett Johansson, you weren't fucking me. You haven't earned it, sir. I love this. I get it.
What?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Greta Gerwig made Little Women that I heard was great. But then
And I have questions.
Her husband created Marriage Story?
And I have questions about that. Number one, did he write that story about his first wife? Or did he write this story while married to Greta to discuss, like, nightmare scenarios he was having while they were married to each other? Because if he wrote that about his first wife, Greta, you need to run. If he wrote that about scenarios that he was casting in his mind about your current marriage, girl, you need to run like fucking Usain Bolt.
Either way, you need to run, Greta. Either way.
Yeah, because this ain't healthy.
Whatever this was based on in his life, because I think he did say some of his life was in.
Of course it is. This is an argument that a man has had in his mind.
Greta Gerwig escape.
Yes. Don't waste your time on him. No matter how fucking brilliant he is, it's not worth it, girl. It ain't worth it, girl. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it, girl. It ain't worth it. It ain't worth it, girl. It ain't worth it. Fuck him. It ain't worth it. Sometimes lessons are better learned to a beat. Okay, so we're running on a little over an hour, and while we're running on this, I do need to do the briefest of Boys Love chats. So for those of you who aren't into Boys Love, here's where you clock out now, because I'm going to talk about Why Are You and Until We Meet Again very, very briefly. Stephanie and I and Stephanie are watching Why Are You together. We're watching Why Are You Together?
Sci-fi has a dumb face.
That's her opinion. I share it, but it's still her opinion.
His face looks literally like he is dumb. He might not be dumb, but his face just has this is nothing like personal against him. His face just looks like he is stupid.
His face looks like the only thing running through his mind is Baby Shark. You know how like some people have like a running narrative in their mind, and they're thinking about the groceries, or they're thinking about what they're going to do after work. He looks like the only thing running through his mind is Baby Shark. So, Why Are You is extremely frustrating. Why Are You is extremely frustrating because there is no chemistry between Sci-Fi and Zahn.
Like where's the chemistry?
There's nothing there. I don't know how they're going to get from hating each other to liking each other when there's nothing there. Like maybe once they start working on this song for the football team, things will change. But as of right now, there's no chemistry. There's no electricity. I don't feel any tingles.
Where is
nothing.
The flavor? Where is
also, why is Zahn sweating so fucking much? Does he have some kind of a hormonal issue? Because theirs looks bone dry, whereas Zahn looks like he just got through taking a bath and didn't dry off. Like he is just drenched. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Is Thailand that hot?
Hyperhidrosis?
Is he going through menopause? Like, what is going on? But yeah, Zahn is really funny. Like he has a very animated face, and it just makes it like really pleasant to watch. Sci-Fi looks like he should not be there. Like he just looks like he doesn't belong. All of his interactions with other people, they just don't work. And it's just very painful to watch them because they are one of the main couples.
There's no emotion in his face.
Mm-hmm. And it pisses me off even more because it's so obvious that they took a lot of care in casting the guy who plays Fighter. So we've talked about this before, but Saint Supapong is the person who they cast as tutor. He was in Love by Chance where he played Pete. It was a very popular role for him, shot him up to stardom, got him 1 million followers on Instagram, like did big things for his career. However, Saint is not a terrific actor. I'm not going to say he's a bad actor. I'm just saying he's not a terrific actor. So they made sure to find somebody whose temperament perfectly matched him so that they had chemistry, so that it made sense for them to have tension between them. And when they're acting, it feels more comfortable. So they spent a lot of time casting Z, who plays Fighter. And it shows because the actor who plays Fighter, he comes across as like somebody you want to know more about. Like you want to hear his backstory. Why is he so afraid to be gay? Why is he wasting Wawa's time?
Why is he hypocritical? Like that scene where he's like, well, would a gay guy do this? And then proceeds to kiss Tutor.
Like,
would a gay guy do that? Of course a gay guy would do that.
Yeah. Would a gay guy kiss you? Would he slip you the tongue? Would he casually bump noses with you and get distracted so you can steal your phone back from him? Like, yes, absolutely. That totally sounds like something a gay guy would do because he'd be interested. He'd want it. So, yeah, I think so. But yeah, the guy who plays Fighter, he gives enough meat to Fighter's lack of dialogue to make you wonder what's going on. Like, why is it that he's wasting Wawa's time? Why is it that he's maintaining this relationship with her when it really seems like he's only doing it to make Tutor jealous? He's never kissed her. They've never done anything together.
Even during her birthday, he
was ignoring her during her birthday, which, like, for me, that would have been the end of the relationship right there.
Like, it's my birthday.
Yeah. Like,
and you haven't said a word to me.
Right? Like, how is it that it's my birthday, but you're making out with Tutor? Huh? What? Huh? So, yeah, like, you just want to know, like, did something happen where he tried to have a gay relationship and there were negative repercussions? Has he, like, just what's going on with him? Why is he doing, like, the, boy picking on a girl type thing where he's like, picking on Tudor to get his attention. So, yes! Thank you, Eugenia. I said the same thing. There is something about Day that gives me the strongest Cincto vibes. Like, I was looking, like, the very first time he appeared on screen and he smiled, I'm like, oh, ooh, hello. Hey, 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 hello. Yeah. Might be your new stepdaddy, hey. But anyway, when I first saw him, I'm like, this man is extremely cute. But then, like, the more I looked at him, I'm like, why does he look so fucking familiar? I know I've never seen him in anything before. He looks super familiar. Especially wearing that engineering shirt. He looks just like, ding! He looks like a paler version of Cincto, but with different hair. But, like, their smiles are practically identical. They look very, very similar, and I'm here for it. Very here for it. Extremely here for it. Anytime. Any place. I don't care who's around. Anyway, yes, very much so. I see and hear and I feel. So let's talk some more. I've been all around the world talking about these actors, but let's talk about the storyline for Why Are You? The storyline is really bugging me, man. It's just not making any sense. Like, the relationship between Wawa and Fighter is bizarre. They haven't said anything else about what's going on with Tudor and his financial situation. Like, it's been talked about in a couple episodes, but the loan shark appeared the one time and then it hasn't been mentioned since. Is his dad dead? Or is his dad alive? Because they talked about, like, him losing his house. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Yeah, there's some complications there. Zahn and his whole thing, it's like, is he still acknowledging that he's part of this boys love script, or is that gone now? Like, it seems like
what happened to the being inside?
Yeah, like, that's not super clear. Then there was one character whose name I can't remember because he's fairly new. I'm gonna call him Lollipop Boy because the first time we saw him, he was sucking on a lollipop. The Lollipop Boy goes up to Zahn's sister Zol, who's writing this fanfic, and is like, I want you to write me into it, but I want you to write me as a pairing with this other character. And I'm like, that's bizarre. That is bizarre on many different levels. It's bizarre because Zahn had no idea his sister was writing this fanfic, but apparently the fanfiction was so popular that there are boys coming out of the woodwork asking to be written into her story so that they can become popular. And that lack of awareness on Zahn's part is strange, especially because Soda and Lukewarn, Luketarn? I can't remember the lady's name. But anyway, those two are like the campus gossips. They have a show where they talk about the campus gossip. And they obviously know about this fan fiction. People have been taking pictures of Zahn. Like, all this stuff has been going on around him. And his friends, Junior and Nati, are around Soda. So they must know about this. But it never got back to Zahn that his sister was writing him into a fan fiction. Like, that doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with this storyline. And it's shot weird. Like, some of the camera choices that they make are bizarre. I don't know. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I'm saying that it feels like they concentrated on the wrong things. I'm about to put my... Yeah, there you go. Sorry. I had to shift. They put a lot of time and effort into casting of Fighter for Saint. They put a lot of time and effort in making sure that Saint's lip gloss is always popping. But I feel like the makeup outside of that for everybody else has been terrible. I do not know who's doing Fighter's makeup, but they need to start being better.
Get
because
him to shave. Match
the
foundation.
Like make him shave a little bit cleaner, or if you're gonna not have him shave clean. Maybe don't cake the makeup over his stubble because it's very, very noticeable. Same thing with Zahn. Zahn's makeup is crazy. Like his lips always look super dark compared to the foundation that they use. It's off-putting, it's obvious. The sweat that they have him doing is weird and obvious. Like there's just a lot of things that I would improve, but it just feels like money was just spent in the wrong areas. And I think that this show has potential because, again, you got Saint and you got Z, but I just feel like they're not spending money correctly. Also, is it just me or the character that plays Day, that interaction he had with the character that plays Wawa when they were at the party and she was drunk, did it seem like he was gonna like take advantage of her while she was drunk and like try to make out with her without her like knowing what was going on? That was a little bit rapey, a little bit creepy, a little bit weird, a little bit ick.
We was with you, pal, until you did that.
Yeah, it's like you're fine and all, but you know, somebody macking on somebody while they're asleep, ew, gross, go away. So wasn't keen on that either. So, you know, I'm still watching Why Are You? I'm still gonna support it, but I'm worried. I'm worried about what's gonna happen with it because it doesn't feel like it's improving, and I need it to improve because right now it's looking super iffy. And then Until We Meet Again, this last episode of Until We Meet Again was, it is a staple of boys love, but this was like, I don't know how to describe it. So I've noticed in boys love, the rapey aspects of it are a way that people use to justify their turn to gayness. If that makes any sense. Like, okay. Yeah. For instance, the show Together With Me, the two friends get drunk and the one friend fucks the shit out the other friend. Now, according to the way that the actors play it on the TV, it looks like they were both active participants, but then like the one guy wakes up, he's like, I don't remember what happened. You took advantage of me, but I liked it. So it's okay because I'm going to have a gay relationship with you. And it's weird to me because I'm like, okay, so you're saying that if it hadn't been for the fact that he was taken advantage of, he never would have had a gay physical relationship with anybody? Like, this is the turning point for everyone? But this was not a rapey scene with two men. This was a rapey scene with a woman and a man. And you don't really see a lot of that in boys love. So that's why I say it is weird. It is weird. So Mason said, I feel like I'm watching potential fade away with each episode because there's some elements and ideas that could make this great, but it's handled with little care. Yeah, I feel like they're definitely, the whole idea of falling into fan fiction is a trope that we all adore, falling into a fan fiction, enemies to friends to lovers. We love poor boy, rich boy. We love all these things. They're classic tropes of fan fiction writing. But it just has to be handled with a little bit of finesse. It has to be handled by somebody who gives a fuck. And it just feels like the only thing they care about are marketing opportunities. And that sucks. That really sucks. I don't know where the budget went, but the budget's not stretching.
The budget went to choo-choo ads.
Yeah. But Until We Meet Again, the last episode of Until We Meet Again was basically about the main couple, Dean and Palm, and talking about him meeting with Dean's mom, who was with Dean's mom, who was Fam's niece in his former life, and also revealing their relationship to Dean's father when both of them had so much trauma around their fathers in their previous life. And so there were no team win moments, unfortunately. Damn. And there wasn't a lot of kind of cute moments in this episode to me. Most of it was very serious and very kind of like sad and traumatic and stuff like that. But still, the show is chugging along, and we're glad to see it because it has been one of the better shows that's come out this year. There are some saggy moments, like I would say the first 4 episodes of the series were really, really good, and then after that it feels like it's kind of slowed down into sad land. Quit messing with it then. And then it's kind of slowed down to sad land. But I feel like outside of the whole, reincarnation thing, they have some good actors and they have some good moments and they have a really good cast, and it's definitely something worth checking out still. It's worth me still following it. I just think that like right now it's a little bit mopey, and so I'd like to see it pick up a little bit. I'm looking for a big reveal in the next episode when Fom goes to meet his mother's extended family, and I think that's when he's going to realize that he is related to Dean's family from his past life. So we'll see what happens with that. But that is my brief boys love talk, because I don't know. There's just not a lot of great stuff going on with Boys Love right now. I'm trying to go back and catch up with some other series. I'm watching the second season of Love Sick. I'm watching the Boys Love cut because all of the girls on that show are fucking annoying. And I'd like to go back and rewatch Make It Right season 2 because I've already seen it, but I've seen it in sections. Like I've seen like the main couple, and I've seen the book frame couple and their cuts, but I've never watched it kind of straight through. So I feel like I'm missing some side couples here. Will I be watching Love by Chance season 2? I think I talked about this already in a live stream, but the kid who plays Mean told everybody that he is not going to be doing any more Boys Love stuff after Love by Chance 2. He said he may do some appearances with Plan and, some of their two-ish stuff. And he said that, if he's ever desperate, he may go back to doing Boys Love stuff, but that he doesn't want to do that for a living because he doesn't want to continue playing that kind of character. Also, Perth, who plays A in Love by Chance, said that this is going to be his last Boys Love thing, that he's not going to be doing this anymore either. It's time for him to move on to play different kinds of characters. And I don't know for a fact I've talked about this on a live stream before. But because two main characters from the series are kind of like, I'm off that gay shit, it makes me not want to watch season 2. I know I will watch it more than likely just to see where Tin and Can go, since they ended on such a sad note for season 1, and I just want to see the storyline completed. Also, I want to see what kind of revenge Techno is going to get from Kinkla for raping him. But outside of those two things, I don't really have any incentive for watching season 2 because the actors have pretty much given away the plot. So they don't give you much to work with. I'll probably bootleg it, to be quite honest with you. I'll probably bootleg that shit. I'll probably watch it wherever I can to where they're not going to get the view count, because I just think that it's a really dirty way to treat your audience. It's a really fucking dirty way to treat your audience. I think the effect they're going for is like, watch us in our last Boys Love roles ever. That's not the way it reads for me. It reads like, I'm done with this gay shit. I never really liked it in the first place. I'm going to go do things I actually do like.
If I'm ever desperate again.
Yeah, and that's why I know I've talked about this before, because I talked about the whole thing that, being gay is not the character. It is a characteristic of the character. So that's why I was just like, fuck you. Fuck you for real. But there's a lot of other really good shows that are coming along. There's Inn of Love, which looks like it'll be good. There's A Tale of a Thousand Stars. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's down the pipeline for being produced. And Lord willing, someone will rescue the History series and we'll get History 4. I really hope it happens. Nobody has announced any plans for it yet, so I don't know. Also, we're going to be getting Tharn-Type Season 2. That is the biggest news of all. We're getting Tharn-Type Season 2, which means that, Stephanie, you need to watch Tharn-Type Season 1. That way we can watch it together. No? Okay.
I'll try.
I'll put it this way. I feel
from what I've been hearing about the ship, I don't know if I'll ship it.
I think that you need to watch Tharn-Type because you love drama and you love problematic things. That way you can lecture about how problematic it is.
my lectures.
Which is why I think you should watch it. You're like, I just think this relationship is totally unhealthy, and I don't know why they're together, and things seem really twisted, and the codependency is so awkward. I can't wait for you to give us your 2 cents. So yes, you need to watch Tharn Type, because I feel like it is right up your alley for like, I ship but I don't ship.
I like calling out toxicity.
Yes, I think this is...
Even though William and Nora from Scum, I don't ship at all. Okay.
So anyway, I really do think that you should watch it. I think you'll enjoy it a lot. I have heard that Two Moons is going to have Two Moons 3. There was recently a little bit of drama with Jung and Nine from Two Moons 2. Don't know what that was about. Apparently fans think they're in a real relationship and that they broke up for a night and they got back together, and it's just like, girl, I guess. But yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry if I disappointed you. They're still toxic.
But yeah, I'm gonna watch Two Moons 3 when it comes out for sure. But yeah, like I'm ready for the Boys Love avalanche to get here. I feel like we're in a drought right now. There was a period in time where I was watching 3 shows in real time. Now I am watching almost 1.5, and I just really need more. I need more. I was watching History Make Our Days Count. I was watching Dark Blue Kiss, and I was watching Tharn Type all in the same week. And so that's why I'm just like, I really, really need y'all to bring me more content. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know anything about the personal lives of the Two Moons characters. For me, my appreciation and love of Boys Love is extremely casual. Like I don't watch fan meets. I don't follow a lot of them on Twitter. I do follow them on Instagram because pictures are beautiful. But I don't delve into their personal relationships at all. As far as I'm concerned, everybody doing Boys Love has got a lover on the side that nobody expects because no one is actually in their ships.
I will say though, if any of you girlies or others, recommend me a reality show, because I finished watching The Circle on Netflix, highly disappointed with the outcome. Joey didn't deserve it at all, in my opinion. But you know, if the rest of you watch some reality shows, give me a recommendation.
I think you should watch Love Island. Just so you could tell me about the episode that Sean Paul appears on.
Shana
Paul. Okay. I know sometimes ships go too far, like Mew Art. That was bad. Yeah, Mew Art, Perth Saint, like definitely those 2 couples. Their show ship went way too far in terms of their personal life, and it's unfortunate because I think there's a lot of ways where these ships from these boys' loves could have a lot of fun in their personal life and not be messy. A great example of that is Off Gun. People knew that Off had a girlfriend, and people know that Gun is a social butterfly. And their ship has always been a touchy friendship. And everybody's acknowledged it as that. Like, they're still cute, and we still, look at them in the context of their ship, but no one takes it seriously that they're dating in real life. Not at all. But for some reason, there are just certain ships that come out of these shows that people are convinced they are real. And it's like, y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop because you're taking the fun out of this.
I remember when I used to watch Girl Meets World, and all of y'all thought that Rowan Blanchard and that other guy whose name I can't remember who plays Lucas were dating. I ain't forget. Also, you same girls that ship Mike and 11 from Stranger Things that think Millie and Finn are dating, they're not.
No, because she was dating that TikTok boy, wasn't she? I mean, they broke up.
They broke up, but yeah, she was dating Jacob Sagittarius.
But yeah, like, it's weird to me that You know what's weird to me? And this is side tangent. Like, it seems like minority groups have stronger ships than mainstream groups of people. For instance, like Zendaya and is Tom what's his name?
Jacob Elordi?
No, the guy that played Spider-Man.
Tom Holland.
Yes, Zendaya and Tom Holland. People ship them so hard with no evidence.
Yeah.
With no evidence for that ship.
I don't
Just
know.
a friendship, and people were like, they're fucking. And it's like, how did this happen? How did this happen? You know? But then, like, you'll see Timothée Chalamet in 1,000 movies, and people don't ship him with the people he's in movies with.
Well, they do. Timothée Chalamet has done a couple movies with Saoirse Ronan, so a lot of people do ship him with Saoirse Ronan.
They don't seem like they ship him with Saoirse Ronan the same way that they ship.
Yeah. But that's because everybody that stands Timothée Chalamet wants to date him. So they don't want to ship him with anybody because they want to ship themselves with him.
I guess.
Even though, don't do it, girlies. I promise you he's not all he seems. I mean,
I don't know. It just feels like gay ships are taken a lot more seriously than straight ships.
yeah.
And interracial ships seem like they get shipped harder than same race ships.
That's true.
Because like the
A little bit.
Zendaya Tom
A
Holland
little bit.
thing was like all about the interracial ship. And then like there's a whole community of people who ship Jay Park with any black girl who breathes. It's bizarre. Everybody like Jay Park and Normani, Jay Park and Tinashe, Jay Park and whoever. It's like, leave Jay Park alone. First of all, I wouldn't do that to somebody I loved. If I loved Normani, I would not saddle her with Jay Park.
What is that?
It's A and BW.
There's a friend. There's two guy friends that are like actors. I know it's very vague, but they've been popular recently. For like,
There are two actors that have been popular recently.
but their shit
that are
together
friends.
hard. Oh my god.
But yeah, look, there's something about gay ships, whether it's in a musical group or whether it's from a TV show.
It's like Jake Gyllenhaal and some other guy, I think.
On the nose, Eugenia.
Huh?
Yeah, so anyway, I just say all that to say, like, I wish people would quit taking it so seriously so we can have fun. There's nothing wrong with some fan fiction. There's nothing wrong with fun pictures and fun edits. But when you get to the point where you're harassing people in their real life behind these pretend ships, or you're making it to where people...
What was the call out? Oh, you're mad that I called out the Timothy stands? Trust me, I have no hate towards Timothy. I just think he's overrated and needs to admit that he's not that innocent. Because he does have
Is he Britney Spears?
Anyways, he has this personality that's like, I don't want to, like, no, like, don't give me attention, I'm shy.
I played like I'm gay.
I just want to,
I made you believe.
I want to preface,
I'm
not shaming anybody who has anxiety or anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just know that Timothée Chalamet seems like the guy that was a player in high school. Tell me, I've seen this old Mom,
the women all want to get
Mom,
with
can
me.
you let me talk, please?
Oh, really?
Please.
You want to be heard when all the times that I want to talk? Here's Stephanie in the background giving us some speech about scum for the 50th time again. Is that what you want?
I'm just saying, Timothée Chalamet seems like he was a player in high school, and he seems like he still has a bit of that player mentality left. He's humbled himself, but that doesn't mean he ain't got the player in him still, and I feel like he needs to let that inner playboy out, because right now he's doing the shy boy act, and I don't believe you. No one believes you.
Why does anybody want to get with him anyway? He looks scrawny as hell.
I'm not going to judge his looks anymore. That's completely up to you.
I'm just saying, like, of all the men who, like, make up fantasy material, he's got the same body type as Adam Driver.
But honestly,
am I lying?
I think that he would actually get more attention from girls if he owned his inner
But he's
playboy.
shorter, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
And scrawnier.
But he's also, like, 24.
Adam Driver's not that old.
He's, like, in his 30s, Adam Driver
Look,
is.
I'm going to squeeze your hand if I back up, so be careful. Thank you. I didn't want to hurt you, honey bunny.
I just feel like the shallow barbs, as they call themselves.
Are you fucking kidding me? Shallow barbs?
Yes.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah, see, he's 36.
Yeah, well, for 36, he looks a smooth 47.
But Timothy Chalamet, he'd get more girls if he owned that part of him. If he fully owned the French side of him and was more of an amateur, you know, had that little playboy finesse. That would get him some attention. Come on.
Let me talk
that
about
put his heartthrob status
Noah
even
Vanuatu Centineo. That kid is a frat boy.
So
you cannot tell me different. The very first time I ever saw him on anything, he was doing like a late night show with Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel, one of the Jimmys. But he was on one of these late night shows, and he walked onto the stage and he was giving to like, I do TikToks in my spare time, you know, me and my friends just be kicking it, drinking White Claws, you know what I'm saying? I got like this little cute messy thing going. I give the girls a little bit of a smirk, but I let them know I'm a nice guy. Like, I'm totally gonna pay. I'm totally gonna pay for your Uber when I send you home, but like, I'm not gonna give you my real phone number. I'm just gonna give you my Snapchat. Like, there's just something about that kid. He looks like he roofies bitches.
Those private Snapchats, I'm not trying to be, but he had that video where he's like, so are you going to show me how you squirt or what? That's what he said.
He is the kind of guy who lip syncs to Pony by Genuine, but doesn't dance. Just does his... That is who he is. That is who he is. That is who he is. With no shirt on and not even worked out. But just like the camera cuts off right here. So all you get is like a little bit of the pec imprint. Not enough to tell that he's got like a terrible body.
Middle school boys. Why are you calling out middle school boys?
Like, seriously. That is the fucking energy I get from that kid. Gross. Gross. Ladies, protect your...
I've seen people comparing e-boys to K-pop idols. What?
I can see that.
I mean, the way they dress, I guess. Well, no. E-boys took inspiration from the things BTS was wearing.
Okay, Stan.
I'm just saying.
I'm going to say this. I feel like I can see the comparison because fan service and kind of like, you know, the I'm trying to do this for the ladies, you know what I'm saying kind of energy. I can some of the K-pop boys do that shit and I'm just like, don't do that. Don't ruin this for me. Don't ruin this for me. Please. Like, I'm surprised that there are not more e-boys on TikTok doing the Any Song Challenge.
True. The e-boys I can't stand the most are the e-boys that also do the POVs that are like, you mean you're pregnant? Oh, that's terrible. But I'll still be your father, you know? I'll still be the baby's father, you know? I gotta support the children. Like, trying to be sexy while still doing the POV
If I told someone I was pregnant and that was the way they responded, I'd be like, you are giving me every reason to have this abortion. Throw me down a set of stairs. The energy I'm getting from you right now tells me that we're going to be in paternity court in 9 months. ugh. You know, girl, I still got you. You know, don't worry about stretch marks or like not getting your waist back. I'm gonna give you like 3 months to get that body back in shape. Don't worry about it.
That's how they be though.
I would be so furious. I'd be like, oh my gosh, please let it be immaculate conception and not his. Anybody.
That's basically what they are. E-boys are basically F-boys, but like with more style, and they try not to come across as F-boy all the time.
Mm-hmm. I feel bad for the dating landscape that you're gonna have to deal with when you get older. There's no one left. Not that guys were just so great when I was coming up, but I feel like they were a little bit more honest with their intentions. Now it's just like, I'm totally a fuckboy, but I'm nice because I didn't say anything to damage your self-esteem. Like, man. Good luck to y'all because I don't have to deal with that dating scene, but good luck to y'all.
Yeah.
Unless Namjoon comes
Guys
around.
are also like sort of whiny. They're like they're getting, okay, I don't want to like fill a stereotype, but they're getting to be like as dramatic as girls. I'm not saying girls are dramatic, but they're acting like I can't believe you didn't Snapchat me back yesterday. I can't believe that. We've been dating for like a week now, and I was trying to hang out with you,
but
you
boys
didn't.
Are you around that's what's going on?
At my high school.
Man, back when I was a young lady.
And then they talk about how girls just be out here wilding. You, sir, were about to cry for hours just because you didn't get that girl Chelsea to send you anything. She left you on red and she blocked you. Oh, and now you're going to cry about it? Now you're going to tell your friends, oh, but I thought we had something going. Why would she lead me on like that? Because you're a loser. Maybe stop being a loser.
That, or maybe, you know, Chelsea's a hot girl. You got a man, but you're fucking around. Risking it all, baby, just to be down. I got a man, but I'm fucking around because a girl like me can't be tied down.
Where's the studio release?
Right? Where's the studio version? I want to play it on the high volume. If you haven't watched Meg Thee Stallion's Tiny Desk concert, she has an unreleased song on her Tiny Desk concert that she does with phony people called Fucking Around. Very, very good stuff. You can just like type in Fucking Around Meg Thee Stallion on YouTube and somebody did like an edit with just the song on it. But yeah, totally what's going on. Anyway, I've now been on this live stream for 2 hours, and update on the situation I asked you about last time about whether or not I should go ahead and just give away the giveaway item to the person. I'm going to do that because everybody agrees like they were the only people who followed the rules, so they deserve to win. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get with them and get that handled pretty soon. So I hope there's somebody who watches. Be looking out for that because I will be giving you your Kai signed poster and your Kai Super M opened CD. That'll be coming to you soon. I gotta send you a message so that I can get your address and everything else. But yeah. I can't believe somebody appreciates our song covers. We're the worst when it comes to songs. Yeah. If you knew the songs that we sing around the house, we sing some of the most raggedy songs ever around the house. It's ridiculous. Yeah. What were we singing the other day? I know we were singing the theme song to Jim, but I feel like we were singing something else the other day. Oh, yes. We were in two people of a certain age sitting in the living room doing emotional fist pumps to Bet on It from High School Musical 2. Particularly the bridge. It's no good at all to see yourself and not recognize your face. Out on my own, it's such a scary place. Ooh, the answers are all inside of me. All I gotta do is believe. I'm not gonna stop till I get my shot. That's who I am, that's my plan. We'll line up on top, you can bet on it, bet on it, bet on it, bet on you can bet on it, bet on it, bet on me.
I'm not gonna stop.
That is the way to turn my life around. Today is the day. Am I the type of guy who means what I say? Bet on it, bet on it, you can bet on me. And scene. Yeah. So, you were Tay. You were the only one that entered, so you won. But yeah.
And then also a lot of I Don't Dance covers. But you replacing I Don't Dance with I'm Not Gay.
I do. I do it badly. Yeah. I'm not gay. I know you are. There ain't no way. No, if I can suck dick, then you can take cock. But I'm not gay. Pull it out of your pants. Those are my alternate lyrics to that song.
Why did they switch clothes?
Who does that? Good game, buddy. Let's go get cleaned up. I'll wear your sweaty clothes and you wear mine. Come on now. Just saying. Beard, anyone?
Change my outfit and I'll change yours. I was trying to go for Call Me By Your Name thing, but it didn't work. Anyway, Bet on It is iconic, yeah. Every kid has it. Yep. Of course!
I mean, Isaac and Even.
Isak and Evan, oh, I love them. There were some, well, no, there actually wasn't. I have no complaints about season 3. Season 3, you did a good job, Julie Andem. That was your only ship on the show I wasn't completely disappointed with. Or like, the one I didn't have any problems with at all. Because the rest of them, the only one that's like, with Isak and Evan is Sana and Yusuf. But even then, I'm giving Yusuf the side eye for trying to make Sana jealous by kissing her friend. Dude, just ask her out. Just ask her out. She saw you dancing to I Feel It Coming. She was into you. She was cutting carrots with you, talking about how y'all wanted kids together, and you didn't get the memo that, maybe you don't need to try and make her jealous. Maybe I can just ask her out. And y'all got me wrong with that whole, I went to William's house for like 3 days, and he apologized for everything, even though we didn't ever see an apology on screen, so we really don't know if he was being genuine or not. And then when we were at that spring festival or whatever at the end of the show, that stupid song played.
Oh, I guess I can talk about that really quick, I guess.
I'm mad. I'm sorry.
I will talk about that very briefly because I actually didn't know about the question. I only knew about a tweet that somebody else wrote in response to that question. So apparently, before Super M went on stage, someone asked Taemin about Jonghyun.
Go away.
And whoever it was some journalist, reporter, whatever, it threw Taemin off, as it would anybody who was asked about someone who died a little over 2 years ago that you were extremely close with and have known for the majority of your life. So it threw him off, and he was a little bit flustered. I think he did answer the question, but it was still kind of like a lot of people felt it was wildly inappropriate to ask. And it was one of the things that I had said initially that I was the most afraid of, is that people were going to ask Taemin that question and they weren't going to understand how wildly inappropriate that is, because we're talking about human beings, not about statistics or some other agenda. So that was a thing. But this was how I found out about it, was through this person's tweet. It was a person by the name of Epic Cookie, and this is what they wrote. They said, "It was a good article. FYI, Taemin isn't made of glass, and maybe Taemin should take his own advice, and he and his bandmates should speak up about mental health issues and about their beloved Jonghyun, because they don't ever mention him. ever. Don't get me started on this because it upsets me that the minus Minho acknowledge him publicly, his mental struggle, depression, legacy, or his art and music. When Jong has had his solos, he was always mentioned with so much love. His SHINee members, always. And don't give me the whole thing that they're grieving BS. You can grieve and feel immense pain, but still honor your members' friends by mentioning him and his legacy, just like his sister and his mom do every day. I'm pretty sure their pain is more intense, and yet here they are. Wish more media outlets asked all the members about him, but most of all, I want them to willingly talk about Jong, his struggles, and ways of awareness, and try to help people with the same situation. Amber's talking about Sully and mental health nonstop. Why can't Taemin? I know the answer to that. Do you? My response was, have you ever had someone close to you take their own life? My uncle took his own life, and if some stranger tried to dictate to me how I publicly talk about his passing, what I should focus on, or demand that I justify my grief in comparison to others, like seriously, get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. First of all, no thank you. First of all of the members of SHINee have talked extensively about Jonghyun since he passed. They've written songs about him. They've done music videos dedicated to him and his memory. They have done appearances for the SHINee Foundation. All of them and their families, their parents included, have been involved with preserving Jong's memory. Taemin talks about the SHINee members all the time. They always say OT5 because he is still very much part of their group. They all talked about the fact that they went to therapy after he passed away to try to deal with their emotions and going back into the public eye after all of this. You know, I'm sorry if Taemin not mentioning Jonghyun while he's doing Super M activities feels like some kind of unspoken betrayal to you, but maybe he just doesn't want to be sad all the fucking time. How about that? Maybe Taemin doing Super M is because he needed to be around people. You know, he's a kid who grew up surrounded by people. He grew up as a part of a K-pop group where he had 4 other guys and they were around him all the time. And then when he does the promotions by himself, he has all the pressure in the world to be the best Taemin he can be. Be the most glorious, the best dancer, the best everything. And for him, it's probably really tough because he's just a regular dude who has an extraordinary talent. And he feels like any slip up he makes on stage, he can't just play it off because he's one of 5 people. He's the one. And so it's probably really tough. So he probably loves being in Super M because it gives him a chance to like have that camaraderie back, have people to talk to when the stress is getting too much, people who understand because they're in the exact same position he is in. And I'm sure that that him and the other members of Super M have talked about Jonghyun together before. I'm sure him and the other members of Super M have not only talked about Jonghyun together, but they've probably spent a lot of time reminiscing and checking in on each other to make sure that they're okay because they understand the pressure, a pressure that no one else gets. And for somebody to be so incredibly uncouth as to ask a super inappropriate question, but for somebody else to feel like they are the ones who can tell Taemin what he should talk about, how he should talk about it. For somebody to say that, oh, well, you're not hurting as much as his mother and sister who talk about Jonghyun every day. All of us deal with our grief differently. Some people drink. Some people do drugs. Some people isolate. Some people have to be surrounded by other people. Some people have to talk about it in order to get the catharsis of constantly letting their emotions out rather than keeping them in. Some people feel like if I start talking about it, I'm going to open a floodgate from which I may not recover. I might drown in it. All of us deal with death very differently. And depending on the relationship you have with that person, that may very well dictate how you deal with the grief outside of just your own personal grieving processes. So you can imagine Taemin, a person who was almost, I wouldn't say raised, but almost raised with and by Jonghyun. Somebody who looks at him as a brother and a mentor and one of the few people on the earth that can understand the position that he's in. And to see him be swallowed whole by his mental health issues and Taemin being a young person who's been having to deal with fame for a really long time and probably has his own mental health struggles with fame and trying to keep a sense of normalcy after having the remainder of his childhood basically lived in the public eye. I'm sure it's hard for him to think about Jonghyun because he's probably like, there are a lot of times where I understand where he came from. There are a lot of times where I get the feeling of just turning out the lights and never turning them back on. So maybe he can't talk about him all the time because it's too close to home. Jonghyun's mom and Jonghyun's sister had to share him with the world. And in their grief, they're reclaiming the parts of him that they didn't have while he was alive. They're the ones who are dictating what his legacy is going to be. And they feel a duty as a family to protect it. And so they're going to talk about him all the time. And they're going to talk about mental health all the time. And they're going to continue to do things in his name because that's a part of their grieving process. Because so much of Jonghyun belonged to the world, now he belongs to them again. And that's why SM is not putting his name everywhere because they are now the gatekeepers of Jonghyun. Those women are. But SHINee with Onu and Minho and Ki and Taemin, they lived a totally different experience with Jonghyun than the family did. They're that famous person. There's a big difference between being fame adjacent and being famous. And that's why so many famous people date each other. It's not just because they feel like only other famous people are worthy of being with them. Sometimes it's about the fact that there are people out there who are the only other people that can understand. No one else can understand what this is like. And also, no shade to Amber because I don't want to seem that way. But Amber doing a lot of talking about Sully and everything that happened after Sully's passing. First of all, Sully and Jonghyun are two different people. So it's not fair to say, well, this person died and the people around them acted this way, so you should act this way about the people that died around you. That's not fair. But Amber has always been a more vocal person than Taemin. If you look back on all of Taemin's interviews and everything else, he's never been a person who talked about the K-pop industry in that way. Like it's not the same. When Taemin would talk about the industry, he might talk about people he wants to work with or his practices and his collaborations and stuff like that, but he was never one to be like, my record label sucks and it's really hard to get people to take it seriously. And he's never been the most critical of the industry because for him it's about the work. For him, he concentrates on the work. Whereas Amber has taken shots about the industry even before Sully passed away. She talked about how, you feel like you're in a factory, you feel like people don't take you seriously, they won't release your music, and you feel like you're trapped and it's stagnant. She's made all these statements before anything happened to Sully. So it's on brand for Amber to start talking about Sully and start talking about mental health and start talking about the impact of being a celebrity and what happened with Sully. So that makes sense for Amber because that fits in with the way she communicates with the public already and things she was talking about already. That doesn't fit in with Taemin. And Onu is not talking to anyone about anything since he joined the military. Minho's not talking to anyone about anything since he joined the military. Key's not talking to anyone about anything since he joined the military. So for people to look at Onu or Key like, oh, y'all don't talk about Jong enough. First of all, Key made sure to post on Jonghyun's birthday. He made sure to post around the time that Jonghyun passed away. And he's always done it in a way where it's maybe not him spilling his guts, but it's him showing the joy that they had together, the special moments they had together, and just reminding people this is an important person to me. So I feel like it's disingenuous of this person on Twitter to act like SHINee has never talked about them. It's either you're willfully ignorant and you don't want to talk about how much they talk about him just so that you can make your fucking lousy ass point, or you really are dumb. You really are dumb. Sully, you guys are right that Sully's situation is a little different, but it's really not that different. Jonghyun grew up in a situation where it seemed like his father wasn't really a part of his life. No one really talks about his dad, and from what he talked about being a kid, times were really, really tough for his mom and his sister and himself. I think at one point he said they slept outside, like on a mountain or something. Like things were really tough for him growing up. And, also Jongin struggled with mental health issues. He struggled with seasonal affective disorder. He struggled with actual legitimate depression. And Sully grew up in a very unstable home situation with a father who gave a fuck about her until she became a money generator and who's currently trying to use her estate. She had a mother who sold her out to the industry because her father wasn't supporting them. So she's like, I gotta support these kids somehow, and I got this really cute one right here. Maybe she could bring in some money for us. So she basically sold Sully to SM, you know. And she had a brother that it seems like they weren't very close while she was alive because he was probably dealing with his own feelings about his parents' separation and his sister's fame and maybe him not living up to the standard of his sister and everything else. But also, Sully talked about dealing with mental health issues. The last musical release she ever made was about her dealing with mental health issues. And it didn't help that she was receiving tons of harassment from the public from a dating scandal, which Jongin could very much relate to. So, as much as their situations are different, there are a lot of cross sections and similarities between the two. But at the same time, we're all individuals. My uncle passed away via his own hand, and so did Jongin. However, I wouldn't compare apples to apples with those two individuals because they lived different lives. And the people around them were different people. And the circumstances are different circumstances. We're all individuals. And because we're all individuals, it's not fair to say what you think Taman should be doing when there's not a one size fits all when it comes to grief. It's highly self-aggrandizing on someone's part to say that they know what's going on. Do you? You don't know shit. You really don't know shit. You don't know what's going on. You absolutely don't know what's going on. Who the fuck are you? Do you live with them? Did you go on tour with them? What did you do that makes it to where you're a fucking expert? Are you a fucking mind reader? Are you a psychic friend? No. Close your mouth. Stick to shit you know. I just don't know how anybody could be a fan of SHINee and still come out their mouth to try to support anyone who uses Jongyun's death to push an agenda. And this reporter used Jongyun's death to push an agenda at the most. For any shawwal to support behavior like that, you're not a shawwal. You're a bitch. You're a punk. You're a coward. You're low. So yeah, fuck you. Fuck you, the horse you rode in on, fuck your family, fuck your friends, fuck the people who raised you, fuck the people who taught you that they didn't make you a better person, if they had any hand in you being the shitbag you are now. Fuck them. And that is me copying a meme. That's not my original language. But yeah, fuck you, you big fat smelly bitch. Why'd you take me off the motherfucking schedule? But yeah, fuck you, because you don't know. 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 Until you've been there, you don't know. Glad I got that off my chest. I needed to get that off my chest because I was so upset. I was so incredibly upset. I don't know. It struck me in a bad way. Like, I felt like it's somebody who's never experienced death. Honestly, I feel like it's somebody who has never experienced death. I've lost a lot of people in my life. I've lost my biological father. I lost my stepfather, who's the man who raised me. I've lost multiple grandparents. I've lost multiple aunts and uncles. I've lost multiple cousins. Like, my family is small, and it was made small through a series of deaths. But I'm also 40. So I'm at an age now where, loss is to be expected. But yeah, I've lost a lot of people in my life. And I got to tell you, every person I lost, I felt different about. And my reaction to their loss was very different. And there were times when I could speak very clearly, like I am now, about the way I felt about their loss. And there were times when I couldn't talk about it because it just hurt too bad. And I didn't want to have to go through feeling those emotions in order to be able to communicate via speech. And so, yeah, I you have to be someone who's never lost anybody to feel like you have a right to dictate how people express their grief and what they're capable of talking about and what they might not be capable of talking about. Has she ever thought about the fact that maybe Taman talking about mental health in that way might be a little too close to home? Like, maybe he doesn't want to do it because maybe it's something he's struggling with and he doesn't want to be a hypocrite because he's not taking care of himself, or he doesn't want to talk about it because he doesn't want to open up questioning about what he's doing about his own mental health. So, like, it's so very personal. It's so very personal. And if you're any kind of human being, you'll understand that it's not for us to say what people should and should be talking about. The only people that need to be talking about death are murderers. Lori Vallow, I'm talking to you. You need to be talking about death. Where are your fucking kids? You and Chad Daybell know you killed them babies. You know that's the reason why you couldn't produce them when the cops asked for them. Y'all are the people who need to be talking about death right now because you need to tell us where the bodies are. And those are the people that need to be talking about death, are fucking murderers. Tell us where the bodies are. Outside of that, nobody else needs to be mandated to talk about death in any certain way. I hope they find those kids. I know they're not going to find the kids alive. I know that for a fact, but I hope they at least find their bodies to give their extended family closure on the fact that these two individuals killed them babies. Have y'all been following this? Okay, sorry. True crime insert. Oh my gosh, my live streams are about everything. So during I love hearing about crimes. I do. That's why I moved to Colorado, Crime Central. I love reading about crimes. But there's this case that's been in the news very recently about a woman named Lori Vallow and her husband, Chad Daybell. And Lori Vallow is a woman who was married to a man, and her ex-husband, Mr. Vallow, were in the midst of a divorce. And her ex-husband said, like, she's gotten really weird lately. Like, she's talking about, like, the earth is fixing to end in 2020, and she's been saying, like, a lot of really crazy shit, and I don't feel comfortable living with her. So her and her ex-husband, or former husband, had split up, and she had full-time custody of their youngest son, and she had another child from a previous marriage. One day, her husband, who she is divorcing, Mr. Vallow, comes over to her house, and an argument breaks out, and her brother ends up killing her soon-to-be divorced husband and shoots and kills him dead. About maybe 3 weeks after that, not long after that, her brother is found dead of what they think was a self-inflicted harm. At the same time that that's happening, there's a man named Chad Daybell who is like this doomsday author who claims that he's lived past lives and all this other stuff. And Chad has a wife, Mrs. Daybell. And somehow or another, Mrs. Daybell takes sick and dies suddenly, unexpectedly, not after a long illness, just like all of a sudden got sick and died. She is buried. 2 weeks later, Chad and Lori get married. 2 weeks. 2 semanas. Semanas is weeks, right?
See.
Yeah, I did it! Spanish 101.
2 weeks.
2 weeks after Chad buries his wife, he is getting married to Lori Vallow.
Yo!
So
what?
Lori and 2 of her children, Tyler and is it Lindsay? I'm sure I'm saying the girl's name wrong anyway. Lori and 2 of her children move in with Chad. And not long after they move in with Chad, Lori's extended family is like, we haven't heard from the kids in a while. We haven't seen the kids in a while. So in September, they report the kids as missing because they haven't heard from the kids. So the police come by the house, and Lori's like, oh, the kids aren't here. They're staying with a friend of mine because me and Chad are, working on our marriage. We are newlyweds. The police go to the house where Lori said the kids were staying. The person there is like, no, we don't have the kids. They're not here. We haven't talked to them in forever. So when that happens, they go back to Lori's house to like say, hey, we checked on the story you told us and the kids aren't there. But when they get there, Lori and Chad are gone. They're completely gone, cleared the fuck out. Before they left, they cleared out their storage unit and fled town. So the police gathered a bunch of computers and books and journals and all kinds of stuff from the house. What few things were left in the storage unit they took, which the things left in the storage unit were baby photo albums, baby blankets, things related to the missing children. Basically, those children's personal effects were left in the storage unit while all the important stuff was taken out. So people are like, where the hell is Lori? Where the hell is Chad? And Lori and Chad are speaking through an attorney saying, hey, nothing's wrong. We know where the kids are. They're safe. This is all being blown out of proportion. You'll see, you'll see, you'll see. So nobody knows where they are. All of a sudden, they are spotted. Where are they spotted? In fucking Hawaii. And a reporter is like, hey, your kids are missing. Got anything to say? Thank you. Lori didn't have nothing to say. Chad didn't have nothing to say. So I think it's Nebraska is where they're from. I might be wrong. They're like, you have a week to produce these children. You've already told the police they're one place. They're not there. No one has seen them. It is now fucking February. They reported missing in September. Where are the kids? So the kids were supposed to be produced, I think, last week. Never were brought into anybody. No one's seen the kids. And so at this point, failure to produce the kids, the police are pretty certain that the mom and the stepfather had something to do with the demise of the children. Not only that, but a couple of messages were sent from the oldest girl's cell phone. So, as someone mentioned, the girl's name is Tylee, and the boy's name is Joshua. Apparently, Tylee sent a message to her friends in October, late October, saying, hi, miss you guys, love you. And her friends were like, this is super random because that's not how she talks. She's 17, not 40. That's not how teenagers talk nowadays. And the phone that belonged to Tylee, when police were checking to see what location the transmission came from, because police do that, by the way. If you're ever contemplating murdering somebody, remember about cell phone pings. They will track where that text message came from. The text message came from Hawaii. That's where Lori is. But no one has seen hide nor hair of Tylee or Joshua since they were reported missing. Not the grandparents, not their brother, nobody. So it stands to reason the kids are probably dead. And the question at this point is, who killed them? Where are their bodies? What happened? Why were they disposed of? Also the police are exhuming the body of Chad Daybell's first wife because they believe that she didn't just fall sick. They think that she probably was poisoned or some other nefarious thing befell her that caused her untimely demise. Because, I don't know about you, but I can't get a new husband or wife ready in 2 weeks after I lose my first. But yeah, it's a really sad story. It's sad for many reasons. It's sad because no one should ever be so fucking stigmatized they would kill their own children. But it's been shown to happen over and over again in true crime history. I don't know if you guys remember the story of Susan Smith, who was trying to date a man who said he didn't want to have no kids. So she decided to put her babies in car seats and drive her car into the river. She like set it up some way so that she could get out the car, but the car would still roll forward into the river. It drowned her kids. The police, she called them and told them that some black thugs carjacked her with her babies in the car, took the car with the babies, and that's what happened. Then there is another lady, Diana Dawes, I think is her name, where she claimed that a black guy, I don't know why it has to do with black guys. A black guy carjacked her and shot her and her children, and she was barely able to drive them to the hospital where she survived barely, but one of her babies was killed. Another baby was like paralyzed for life, and the other one was like severely traumatized. But the one that was traumatized, the one that was paralyzed, said, "No, no, 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 no. Wasn't a black guy that carjacked us. Our mommy shot us." Which I cannot imagine being in a courtroom and hearing a child of about 8 or 6 years old say, "My mommy shot me." Like if I was in the room and I heard these children say that, my first impulse would be to jump up out of my seat and run to where this woman is and proceed to try to choke the shit out of her. But yeah, over and over in history, women have completely thrown away their children to have relationships with men. Diana Dawes, her case was that she was fucking around with some married guy that said, "I can't commit to you because, I already got a wife and some kids and I'm not trying to be nobody's daddy. I'm just trying to fuck." And so she thought that he would get with her and stay with her if she just didn't have her 3 kids. And she got pregnant by, I think, a person, one of like the correctional officers, I guess, and gave birth to a baby while she was on trial, and that child was raised by another family. But yeah, didn't even stop having kids after trying to dispose of the 3 she had previously. So yeah, it's sad that some women care more about their romantic partnerships than they care about their children. That is ridiculous. That's really, really shitty. But the Diana Dawes, I want to say, I feel like her name is Diana Dawes. I could be wrong. I'm gonna look that up just to be sure because I don't want to say that wrong. I don't want to accuse somebody else of that. Dawes. Let's see. I'm sure I'm just a second. Fawcett. The reason I know this story is because it was a very famous Lifetime movie, and I know that sounds really silly, but Lifetime used to have the movies. Like Lifetime used to get you together. So that's the reason why I know that movie. Let's see. It happened in the 80s that she did this movie for television. Forgive me, it's just taking a while because she has a very long Small Sacrifices. Diana Downs. That's her name, not Dawes. Downs. So it's actually, fun fact, Anne Rule wrote this book. And the book is called Small Sacrifices. It was turned into a TV movie. The reason why Anne Rule is a name you should know is if you like true crime, Anne Rule writes a ton of true crime stories, but also Anne Rule was a former co-worker of Ted Bundy. And that is how she actually got her start in writing true crime, is that she wrote a book about, not knowing that this guy that you work with who seems like a normal guy is actually a full-time serial killer. Who'd have thunk it? So yeah, Anne Rule. Anne Rule wrote that story about Diana Downs. And it's really sad. It's called Small Sacrifices because they were children. And small sacrifices for that. Yeah. It's a hell of a movie. Farrah Fawcett was a heck of an actress. She acted her ass off on that. Like the way, if you watch the movie, warning, it will make you very upset because she is so like nonchalant and like, fuck, kids are lying. And the first time I watched that movie, I remember thinking, okay, you're really overplaying this. But then they had like courtroom footage that I saw in a documentary about it. And yeah, that woman was totally like, whatever. I didn't shoot any fucking kids. I'm fine. And the most chilling scene in the movie, and this used to be a favorite of my college roommate, there's a scene in the movie where the prosecutor is talking about the moment that she shot her kids. And he's like, this is the scenario. And he puts on a tape of Duran Duran's Hungry Like the Wolf. And he plays it. And he's like, bam, 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 reenacting like what it took to shoot all the kids, like where they were placed in the backseat, what she had to do in order to hit all the kids, like giving that whole scenario. While Hungry Like the Wolf is playing on the speakers, she's sitting in her chair, tapping along to the beat of the song, while he's talking about the execution of her children. Like, I was like, that is a cold bitch right there. That is a nice cold bitch right there. That is somebody.
Cold as ice.
For real. If someone's like, and that's how Stephanie murdered her children, you're like,
tee
in the box. People are like, what the fuck, Stephanie? You're like, what? That song's jams. What are you talking about? So that's why I'm saying, like, if I was in that courtroom, it would take a lot for me not to steal a gun from the correctional officer and shoot her myself. Just saying. Anyway, thank you for joining me for my true crime segment. Man, I really tangent city. Thank you for sticking with me and Stephanie through talking about Parasite for a very long time, talking about the Korean Hallyu wave and its popularity and other aspects of it. Thank you for listening to my boys love talk. Thank you for listening us to sing High School Musical songs. Thank you for listening to Stephanie talk about Scott and Timothée Chalamet and all these other things. And thank you for always watching. I appreciate your views more than you know. I'm not a big channel. I'm not super popular. I'm lucky that I have a couple of people who like to watch me when I'm being a fool. But I know for a fact that I would be nothing in terms of like internet presence without you guys. I mean, I am somebody. But it's Black History Month. But I know that YouTube presence, I wouldn't have much of a presence without you guys. So thank you guys so much for being here, contributing, watching, talking. And Stephanie is thumbs upping me. It's weird.
I have an announcement.
What?
Do you guys want me to start an advice column?
No. Thank you guys. Bye.